Well, we thought the biggest story was going to be Indiana. Are they the best team in the nation? They just knocked off Oregon on the road, but then Penn State turned around and fired James Franklin.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is right. It is a Locked On crossover to talk Penn State football, Indiana football, but also look across the Big Ten as we do this weekly here. My name is Seyko. I'm the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. He is Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers host, all things Indiana. As we look around the Big Ten once a week to react to all the craziness, and we're talking craziness here with James Franklin being fired, Indiana possibly being the number one team in the country as they really proved it. We're also going to make our Week 8 Big Ten predictions. Jacob, you and I have been pretty spot on, I would say, when we go through our picks later on in the show. So stick around for that. We got to start with the biggest storyline as it takes the cake. Sure, yes, we're going to focus on Indiana quite a bit, but because I mean, it's not only about beating Oregon, it's about potentially Kurt Signetti being on the move as Penn State fires James Franklin. We can look at this from a lot of different angles, but for those who haven't heard me talk about it, it's justified at this point. The people on the outside that say, "Oh, Penn State, they're setting themselves back. James Franklin was getting them to 10-2." It's not that simple. It's not that cut and dry. Look, here's James Franklin has had almost 12 years. This was season number 12. And when you see the success that Indiana's having in year 1 and year 2 under Kurt Signetti, Oregon comes into the Big Ten Conference and uses you as a stepping stone to get closer to Ohio State, who has made you little brother for the past decade plus under James Franklin. And the way that James Franklin has just essentially defeated himself. He just looked like he was in a total funk. It was time. The relationship had run its course. It was time for Penn State to move on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, clearly no doubt in the Penn State mind, that this was the decision that they felt was needed. They felt it was necessary, and the fact that they were willing to eat $50 million plus, right?
Yeah.
50 plus mil to say, hey, we don't want you in the building anymore. We're going to pay you this chunk of change to go away. Like, that's where we are with buyouts, which is a separate conversation that I've had on Locked On Hoosiers about buyouts have just gotten out of control in college football. What other profession in this world can you get paid millions of dollars to be fired, where they say, hey, you're done. We don't want you here, but here's some cash to make yourself feel better. Like, that's where we are with coaches' buyouts in college football. Crazy that we're to this point. And the fact that James Franklin's $50+ million buyout is the second biggest one we've ever seen in college football, behind Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, who was paid $76 million to kick rocks and be shown the door. It's wild stuff. But for Penn State in particular, this was a compounded decision. This was not a knee-jerk reaction. This was not because of 2025. This was all the years in the past, then because of 2025. Because the conversation coming into this season, Zach, and you know this better than anybody, it's now or it's never for James Franklin at Penn State. And some people said it wasn't fair to talk about it that way. Some people said, well, that's a lot of pressure and expectations. Well, when you bring back most of your roster from a year ago with guys that could be playing on Sundays, you bring back your starting quarterback and have one of the highest NIL revenues in the country, you should be competing for national titles. And James Franklin and Penn State clearly weren't. And so 2025 was the make or break year. And not only did he not win the big game, he's losing all the games that he historically has dominated. And so this was a decision by Penn State where they sat down Saturday night, Sunday morning after James Franklin lost his third game in a row, back-to-back to UCLA and Northwestern, and said, we were thinking about making a decision anyway if this year didn't go really big, and it's going really bad. So this was a decision many years in the making, and I'm proud of Penn State for finally pulling the plug and making it happen.
The Indiana guy gets it. Okay? He gets it. Look, there's going to be a seismic shift here. We're talking shockwaves across college football because big fish eats little fish. So we'll get to that in a moment because Penn State does not make this move lightly. They are going to make a splash. But like you said, James Franklin would be employed if they had lost. This wasn't Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana back to back because those losses were justified.
Sure.
It was losing to the worst of the worst in FBS football, not just the worst of the Big Ten. We're talking about the worst of the worst in all of FBS. Oregon is one thing, but then you should be able to out-talent UCLA and Northwestern at that point, and you couldn't. You lost to a makeshift staff, a team that admitted putting a game plan together in 48 hours. That's unacceptable. That's embarrassing. It's honestly an insult to the people that have been supporting James Franklin for a lot of this time. And he didn't even, and I'll add this, James Franklin, it wasn't even about I know that Penn State is declaring we want to compete and win national titles. That's good to see. I'm glad that they're declaring that and making that the standard. But James Franklin, in my mind, didn't even need to win a national title to save his job. The problem was going 1-10 against Ohio State in 11 years. The problem was losing to Michigan when they were at the top of the Big Ten. The problem was the second Oregon came in, they matched your success in one season.
Yeah, that hurts.
That was the issue. And the fact that James Franklin had no fight, no energy, no determination to say, we're going to get it back. We're going to respond. It was just, I take the blame. Like, he was defeated. He had no willpower left to carry this Penn State program forward. That's why a decision was made.
And I've compared it to this in the past. It's one step further than this, but it's the Mark Richt situation at Georgia all those years ago, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's for people that remember the mid to early 2000s with Mark Richt at Georgia. That was a guy that won 9 games a year in Athens. And back then, they were fine with that. That was a team that hadn't won a national title in 30, 40 years. And they finally said in Athens, you know what? This is cool, but I think we're ready to build a little bit more, go a little bit further, and take this one extra step. And they go and find Kirby Smart, and they do just that. But Mark Richt didn't have the downward spiral that James Franklin had. It's so crazy to look at this, Zach. Just 3 weeks ago, this was a head coach in James Franklin who had his team in overtime at home with a lead against Oregon.
And he should have won.
And
he didn't.
And here he is now, he's unemployed. I don't feel bad for the guy because he's got 50 million reasons to be happy, but it's just crazy how fast things can change in today's world of college football, man. Unbelievable.
Well, let's react to the fact that Penn State is going to swing heavy. They are looking for a home run. They're looking for a big splash. Those names include your guy, Kurt Signetti over at Indiana. That includes, I know that people, that's not a big splash, but it is in terms of what it will do to college football, whether that's Kurt Signetti, Matt Rule at Nebraska, Mike Elko at Texas A&M, Manny Diaz at Duke. I like candidates like Alex Golish. I like candidates like John Summerall. I think Eli Drinkwitz, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be one of those type of caliber of coaches. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Penn State could go wrong with a Will Stein. Or even a Mike Shanahan at Indiana. So say they don't get Kurt Signetti, but they pivot to a young rising star in the likes of Mike Shanahan and give him the ability to build a staff that complements his inconsistencies. Penn State's in a great spot to really maximize this opportunity to go get the right guy to lead the program.
Yeah, I mean, they should not settle for anything less than excellent, and they're going to have their pick of the litter. And as of right now, it's the biggest job opening in college football. And I think there are some big jobs that will still open up between now and the end of the season and once the season is over. But I don't think any job will be bigger than Penn State. And so they will have their top pick. They will get the first choice at whoever they want as their next head coach.
Signetti is going to get one of the first phone calls. I think my ideal candidate, Mike Elko. He checks every single box. Connections to Pennsylvania, regionality in terms of what he'd be able to do in recruiting, because especially New Jersey's a hotbed for recruiting.
Yeah.
We want to talk about how, this is why Penn State makes a move like this, because look at the instant success that Indiana has had, that Oregon has had with Dan Lanning, that Mike Elko has had with Texas A&M. You get the right guy as your head coach. With the transfer portal, you can be back to elite prominence in 1-2 years.
It's simple as that. I mean, look, we're going to talk Indiana, Oregon in just a moment. Look at what Indiana did on the national stage in just a year and a half. You went from the worst historic P4, P5 program, one of the worst historic FBS programs in history, to now you're one of the best. You're one of the nation's most competitive, dominant, and attractive places to play college football. And it took a year and a half to do it, man. It's not that difficult. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of money, but it can be done at any place in the country.
All right. And we're going to talk just that. Indiana is riding a lot of momentum. Are they the number one team in the entire country? Well, they made a statement out at Oregon at Autzen Stadium with a convincing win over Dan Lanning and the Ducks. We're going to discuss that next here on this Locked On Crossover. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIH Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode is also brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that can help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. You'll love the Peloton IQ system, offering real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, corrects your form, and makes every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat, and the personalized class recommendations will keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and your energy level each week. So let yourself run, let yourself lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com.
We continue on a Locked On crossover of Hoosiers and Nittany Lions. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. He is Zach Seyko of Locked On Nittany Lions. And what we thought was going to be the biggest story across college football, it's been the biggest story for me and Indiana fans, because the Hoosiers might just be the best team in college football. Nobody gave them a chance, Seyko. Nobody thought the Indiana Hoosiers, just the little baby Hoosiers, could go on the road and take down Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. Well, they did it. They went on the road in front of the entire nation and did something that not a lot of people, myself included, thought they could do. And Indiana showed why they are at least one of the best teams in college football.
You say that so lightly. I mean, seriously, Indiana has the resume. The proof is there that they have a case to be the number one team in the country. I know that Ohio State is the defending national champion, and hey, they beat Texas, but honestly, Indiana's wins are so much more impressive. Absolutely annihilating Illinois 63-10, right? Ohio State, they won decisively, right? I watched that game against Texas, but it was still a struggle. I haven't seen Indiana struggle to this point, and that includes Oregon. That includes Illinois. Okay, yes, granted, Iowa wasn't pretty, but man, these games against elite competition, to go on the road to Autzen Stadium like that, right? James Franklin blamed travel for losing to UCLA, but then Oregon comes into the whiteout, flies across the country and defeats your team, and then Indiana flies out to Autzen Stadium and defeats that same team.
Yep.
I mean, the Hoosiers are the number one team in the nation in my mind. I think they have jumped Ohio State. And we said that. We said that weeks ago. See, I wasn't ready to go as far to say that they were better than Oregon, probably because I watched Oregon in person. I said it can't be possible. And I'm still kind of reeling from the loss at the time. But I did say that, hey, with the way that Indiana beat Illinois, that they are in that tier with Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State at one time. Penn State's no longer there, but that was the group that Indiana was there. And we were right about that, to say that this team's contending for a Big Ten championship and potentially a national championship. This is not a fringe college football playoff team anymore. So we're right about that. Let me take it another step further. They're number one.
I love it. I love it. You want to be a permanent co-host of Locked On Hoosiers? Not that I know you're looking for stuff to talk about and you need some more things to do in your day.
I'm scraping the barrel, yeah.
But I think a lot of people like yourself, and not that you were ever a true doubter of Indiana, but there's so many people who were waiting for that one more big piece of evidence, right? That one last piece of proof, if you will, that Indiana could be a legitimate team, because everybody saw against the win against Illinois and they were like, wow, that's impressive, right? Top 10 team, but it was in Bloomington. It was at night and Indiana jumped on them and Illinois couldn't recover. All those things are true. All right, fine. Then you go on the road to Iowa. Well, Iowa's offense isn't all that good. Their team isn't as talented, and clearly Kurt Signetti's the better coach, and Indiana didn't look good in that game, but they found a way to win. Yes. All right, fine. Don't want to give them credit there. That's cool. But then the Hoosiers went into a bye week, and they knew they had things to fix. They knew they had things to work on, and they did. And then when you go out to Oregon, nobody's picking you. College game day is there. Everybody's hyping up the Ducks. It never rains at Autzen Stadium. Yeah, Pat McAfee did. The Indiana guy himself picked, I know he's West Virginia originally, but everybody knows the connections. He did pick Indiana, and not many people did. And you go on the road to the third-ranked team in the country, a place that Dan Lanning had only lost one time, right? Nobody goes there and wins, and Indiana did. And they finally put to bed the narrative that Indiana and the Hoosiers were false, that they were fake, that they were a Cinderella story, that this was just some, get up, go lucky type of team. That's just not the case anymore. And you can't deny it. So anybody that is, or anybody that does moving forward, you're just a bona fide hater. And you clearly don't watch college football if you're saying that the Hoosiers aren't one of the best teams in the country, and they're ranked third, their highest ranking ever. They have the best resume in the country, the only program in the nation with 2 top 10 wins to this point. The argument comes down to, is it Indiana or is it Ohio State?
I mean, I think they're definitively better than Miami. Just watching both teams. Do I think Miami's a top 5 team? Absolutely. But you can at least debate me on whether it's Ohio State or Indiana. I'm going to take Indiana at this point because they passed the eye test. It's not to say that, hey, Ohio State's not winning convincingly or anything like that, or the opponents that they're beating are lackluster, because we've been spot on. We've said, hey, Ohio State's going to shut out Minnesota. Okay, they held them to 3 points. Hey, Ohio State's going to win by at least 17 this past weekend. And they did just that against Illinois too. So when you compare them directly, hey, look, Indiana wins 63-10. That's 53 points in different margin. I get it. It's at Indiana, but 17 points against Illinois. We're not talking about the difference of a field goal or a touchdown. I mean, it's so much more apparent here. I've been a big Kurt Signetti fan, and this doesn't have anything to do with Penn State's coaching search. You can find my takes in past shows where I've said, hey, Kurt Signetti is a top 10 coach, at least in college football. I'm not letting one playoff game against Notre Dame where teams banged up and, that's at Notre Dame. Oh, he's a bad coach. He's this. Kurt Signetti's shown me everything that you could argue that he is the best X's and O's coach. Program CEO, but he's honestly checking all the boxes there too. So Kurt Signetti right now in my mind is a top 5 head coach in all of college football. Indiana's very lucky to have him. And this Indiana team is not just a Big Ten title contender, they're a national title contender. Book it now.
Yeah, and if they take care of business with a schedule that is not all that difficult down the stretch because of Penn State not being what we thought they were. Yeah, UCLA's finding some life, and Maryland's kind of okay, and Michigan State can be a little tricky sometimes, but
stop it.
Indiana's not concerned with those. Indiana will be a favorite in every game they play. Yeah, they'll be favored probably by double digits, right? And so Indiana could go undefeated. You could be a top 4 seed in the playoff, and you're right. You could be a national title contender. And here's what's crazy. I want to remind people the roster that Indiana's playing with is not to the likes of Ohio State. It's not to the likes of Penn State or USC or Alabama or Georgia or Clemson or whoever you want to use. Indiana has 0 5-stars and just 7 4-stars on the roster. but yet they've got All-Americans all over the place. They have a Heisman contender in Fernando Mendoza at quarterback, and they're playing better than anybody in the nation. Nobody wants the Hoosiers right now, and the Buckeyes better be worried about it, as well as college football, because nobody's playing better than Indiana, period.
It's impressive. It's very impressive. I'm not shocked by it at all because I've just kind of been waiting for Kurt Signetti. I had questions about the roster, but man, he does so much more with less. I'm eager to see an Ohio State, Indiana Big Ten championship. That's going to be much must-watch TV on a neutral site like that.
Well, Indiana is back in action this weekend. So is Penn State and a lot of other teams in the Big Ten around college football. We make our picks for Week 8 of the Big Ten slate coming up next here on this Locked On Crossover. The holidays are going to be here before we know it, which is exciting, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or the guest room could use some new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and budget. And with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. So if you need Christmas decorations, maybe you're a fall or Thanksgiving decorator, maybe you want to put up some stuff for New Year's Eve, whatever you need, Wayfair has you covered. Plus, with the delivery being fast and free, it is a lifesaver during one of the busiest times of the year. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, SupplyHouse has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. And the Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com and sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's SHCollege5 at supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service.
Let's make some Week 8 Big Ten predictions here. Jacob, you and I have actually, aside from a couple of games here and there, but I'd say we've got like a 70% hit rate going right now.
Yeah,
we're batting pretty well with not only picking the side, but predicting final scores as well, or where the ballpark will be. So let's continue some momentum. And I know as I say that, I'll jinx it here. No, but no, we're going to stay sharp with this, starting with Indiana, Michigan State. Indiana is give or take a 4-touchdown favorite, depending on, what line you find as that game kicks off. I'm expecting Indiana to have no issues there. Michigan State just got UCLA. UCLA is a bright spot here as they picked up some momentum here. But I'm expecting no issues for the Hoosiers against Sparty.
Yeah, it's just one of those classic, right? Is it a letdown game? Is it a hangover moment? I don't think so. Clearly, yeah. I think we're past that with Kurt Signetti as a head coach, right? We've done so much hyping up about him, and the reason he's a good coach is because he doesn't let his teams get hung up in moments like that. Yeah. The defense for Michigan State, I thought was getting better. It is not, and Aiden Childs is talented, but he just has no help around him. So I like Indiana. I like Indiana to win big. I don't know if I'm touching a 4-touchdown spread, but I'll take the Hoosiers to win comfortably here. I'll say something like 35-17, somewhere in there. They'll win, and it'll be fine.
I like a little more points from Indiana, especially because, again, Kurt Signetti is not afraid. He doesn't let off the gas pedal until it's absolutely necessary. Because I could see Indiana resting some starters in the fourth quarter, and Michigan State leaves their first string team out there a little longer. So backdoor cover is certainly in the realm of possibility, and I can see that 28 points is a lot, but I think Indiana will win the first half, so to speak, and then let off in the fourth quarter, and Michigan State comes back. But scoring should not be an issue for this Indiana team. Let's pivot to the other team we talk about primarily here. Penn State on the road at Kinnick Stadium. Oh no, a backup quarterback for Penn State has to play at Iowa at night. This is a recipe for disaster, right? Here's the thing though. This isn't a bang. I was so intrigued by this, and maybe I should take credit here because I caused the line movement. I pointed out on social media that Penn State was a 3.5-point favorite to open against Iowa, despite Drew Aller being hurt, despite the rumors that Franklin was going to get canned. Now it's flipped all the way to where Iowa is a 2.5-point favorite. Do the odds makers originally know something that we don't? Do our friends at FanDuel know something that we don't? Opening up Penn State, despite all the turmoil, at 3.5 points. Here's what I'm going to say about it. It is more of a toss-up than people will give it credit for, because I don't know what we're going to get from this Penn State team. I don't know the mindset as of right now. I hear the promises to be grittier, to be tougher, to play more motivated, not have effort question. But Ethan Grunkemeyer hasn't shown me that, because he's the backup QB, that he hasn't, is he capable of going into Kinnick and winning an upset? I say he is, but the offense has still struggled to this point. Okay. Grunkemeyer would have taken over for Aller if it was truly a QB problem. It's a systematic offensive issue, and the defense has not been that great. So expect Penn State to struggle, expect Penn State to have some hiccups, not necessarily because of the mindset, but because there are still some systematic issues that aren't even related to James Franklin that they need to work out. It's 20-17, somebody. I'll say that. It's 20-17, okay. Somebody.
All right.
I as much as I want to take Penn State, I will side with Iowa here.
Yeah, I think I got to take Iowa too. And I hated to see the news about Aller. I mean, that's just,
I know,
obviously
devastating.
Fuel to the fire, right? And just salt to the wound, I guess is a better phrase to use there. Just compounding stuff there for Penn State. And look, Kinnick is a really hard place to play, and that crowd is crazy. At night will be a different story too. Indiana scraped by and survived in there. I just don't think Penn State's got the offense to get it done, because that Iowa defensive front is legit. I think they get after everybody on the Penn State offense. I like Iowa to win, and can I say I like Iowa to cover too? It feels disgusting, but I think I'll do it. I think I'll pick Iowa to win and cover.
It's the first career start for Grunkemeyer, and no small task at Kinnick Stadium. So good luck to him. I'm actually very eager to watch that game, just for a variety of reasons, right?
Sure.
All right, let's continue with the slate. This one is at noon. So sorry, Washington. Big noon kickoff. Has decided you are its next victim. Michigan is hosting Washington at noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's Michigan's got to win this one, right? They're a touchdown favorite against Washington. We've seen that travel isn't the end all be all, but when it's a West Coast team playing at 9 a.m. their local time, that is a struggle. USC fell victim to it. So I think Washington, because they're not as good as USC, same thing's going to happen here.
I tried to will a win for Michigan against USC. I thought their run game and their defense would travel to the Coliseum. It did not. And USC put a lot of points on them in a hurry, and Michigan's just not built to come back from big deficits. I think Washington's offense is just as good as Maava and Makai Lemon at USC. I think Washington has just as many weapons. I like Washington to walk into the big house and pull off the upset, because I think Washington is still, I said it to begin the year, I think they're still a dark horse team to make the college football playoff out of the Big Ten. And if they can get on a run down the stretch of Michigan, Illinois, they've got a chance with Oregon at the end of the season too. Penn State clearly not going to be a representative. So I like Washington to win this game. Sorry, that was mean. I like Washington to go on the road in the big house and get the upset win on Saturday morning.
Mean but justified, and this is potentially a Heisman moment for Damon Williams. Damon Williams has looked phenomenal. Another one on the slate here, that high profile, USC going on the road to Notre Dame, the Holy War. USC looked great. I mean, winning 31-13 against Michigan. I didn't give my pick for Michigan. I think Michigan wins and covers. The defense is gonna settle in against Washington. Travel's going to hurt them. Yeah. Notre Dame is firing on all cylinders when it comes to offense. So expect points. Expect a lot of points here. So we're usually right about that. When we don't have a lean on who wins, we'll tell you how the game's going to go. And tons and tons of points, because Notre Dame doesn't play any defense, and by proxy, USC really doesn't either, just because these are offensive juggernauts on both sides.
Yeah, and I think USC, believe it or not, is a little bit more battle tested in terms of what they've had to do so far this season, which is crazy looking at Notre Dame's schedule, right? Miami, Texas A&M, heck, they even played a team in the SEC and Arkansas as well. But look, Notre Dame's defense is not good, and USC has proven when they get a defense that can't stop people, that can't keep the ball in front, they're going to light it up. And Mekhi Lemon is the best receiver in college football. And he's going to have a field day at Notre Dame on Saturday night. I don't care that it's at night. I don't care that it's on the road. Give me USC, another underdog. They're giving Notre Dame 9.5 points here. Vegas might know something, but they don't know this. Give me USC to win outright on the road Saturday night.
I know that USC lost one of its playmakers here to injury. I don't think that's enough to change any outcome significantly. I do think the spread is a little deceptive. I like this to be a touchdown, one score type of game, but I am going to go with Notre Dame. I think they're the more talented team. I think they're the better coach team. They are at home. Give me Notre Dame by 7 with a lot of points. Something like 38-31 is going to be the final score there.
I like it.
All right. We'll go a little more quickly here. Quick hitters. Nebraska on the road at Minnesota. The analysis that I have here is watch the mental focus of Matt Rule being linked to the Penn State job. That's his alma mater. Minnesota, I can easily see capitalizing on that in a Friday night game. So I am taking Minnesota to cover and potentially upset them. So this is an upset watch type of game for Nebraska. I still think Nebraska wins, but Minnesota is definitely going to give them everything that they can handle because I still don't think Minnesota is that good.
I don't either, but this is a prime Minnesota PJ Fleck upset game. I mean, it's Friday night. It's a top 25 team. Nebraska, weirdly enough, folks, still has everything to play for. They're 5-1 on the year, 2-1 in the Big Ten. They are still technically a dark horse in the college football playoff race. And this is such a Nebraska area to lose, man. This is it. The college football world is just colliding here because it's a prime spot for Nebraska to lose and it's a prime spot for Minnesota to pull the upset. And that being said, I like Nebraska to pull it off close, but don't be shocked if Minnesota finds a way to do it.
We're on the same page there. All right. Northwestern that is riding high at 4-2 with an upset victory over Penn State. Should we even call it an upset with the way that Penn State's been playing against Purdue? We almost I thought Purdue was going to give us a little bit of a better performance. They were close-ish last week. I think Purdue's due. Northwestern at home, defense and ground game are always going to bail you out. I just think Purdue is actually slightly better despite the record difference.
Yeah, I do too. I think Purdue's in desperation mode. Not that they're playing for anything major this season, but they are looking for their first Big Ten win. I'm with you. I think Purdue gets it done.
I think Purdue wins. Ohio State being almost 4 touchdown favorites, 24.5 against Wisconsin. This might be another shutout situation. I don't know how Wisconsin scores points. Give me something like 31-0. Ohio State, I think they cover and shut out Wisconsin.
Yeah, I like 35-3. I mean, I don't even like Wisconsin to find the end zone. 35-3. Sorry, Ryan.
Oregon and Rutgers. Okay, so this is a letdown spot. You talk about Indiana being in a letdown spot. You have to, after losing in your house to Indiana and then traveling across the country to Rutgers, I don't think Oregon loses, but am I more prone to saying that Rutgers covers 17.5 points? Yeah, I think it's still close. The margin's still close in terms of the spread. 14 points. Oregon wins by 2 touchdowns and a lot of points to go around. Rutgers can move the football.
Yes, they can. They absolutely can, but they also allow people to move the football as well.
Yes,
and I think Oregon is going to try and find a way to get their offensive mojo back. I think they open up a can on Rutgers on a Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Give me Oregon by a lot. They're going to win. They're going to cover, and they're going to easily stroll out of New Jersey with a win.
Oh yeah, a lot of points will be had in that game. That's another one where Oregon could score 40 some, and I think Rutgers can score 30 some in this instance. All right. How about America's darling and another team that beat Penn State when they probably shouldn't have? UCLA is a field goal favorite against Maryland. Maryland's got to travel out to Westwood. They got to play that game in California. I'm all bought into UCLA. We had them we didn't think they'd quite do it against Michigan State, but they were certainly going to make it competitive. Well, we got the cover right. We didn't get the upset part right. I'm taking UCLA to full on beat a Maryland team that I think is feisty and really good, but UCLA is just the hotter team.
Yeah, Maryland has lost their last 2 games in Big Ten play by a combined 7 points. They've been right there. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. And yeah, apparently UCLA is this newfound offensive identity and swagger a little bit. If this was in College Park, I'd take Maryland all day. But, that crazy raucous environment out there at the Rose Bowl might just be the difference. No, I think UCLA wins, but this will be an awesome game to watch Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm actually, if Penn State and Iowa weren't playing at the same time, my attention would be on UCLA, Maryland, believe it or not. That's how much I am a sicko for Big Ten football. Hey, that's where we're going to wrap this thing up. We do this weekly, talking about the Big Ten and looking at all the storylines, all the analysis you could ask for to do a deep dive into the best conference in college football. My name is Zach Seyko. I'm the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. He is Jacob Goins, the host of Locked On Hoosiers. Follow both of our respective channels on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for daily conversations around Penn State and Indiana, but also for comprehensive Big Ten coverage as well. Thank you for joining us on this crossover episode. Jacob, thank you for joining me for another great conversation.
Always enjoy the time, my friend.